I'm going to bring up the director of Pyros Academy, one of the most amazing performers that I have seen in my entire life. Please, let's appreciate Tamara.
Now, during the conversation, I heard performance poetry and spoken word poetry used interchangeably. Once upon a time, I used to believe there was no difference between both of them. But I'm here to gladly inform you that there is a difference between spoken word poetry and performance poetry. And it actually took practical for me to know the difference. When I got introduced to the theater aspect of poetry by my very good friend and co-director, I understood that you could be a spoken word poet, but you would not be a performance poet. Unfortunately, performance poetry is bastardized here. I don't know why performance poetry has such bad rep. And so they just move us to theater artists. You know, like, it's not poetry again. We don't care whatever you are saying, however you're saying it. But you are with Pyros Performance Art Academy. And so to the people who were claiming to be paid poets here, let me see your hand. Yes. Welcome to becoming performance poets. You know, by the time we are done, you will become a performance poet. So you will stay. You will stay. So as you can see, he's a very handsome gentleman. Yes. Very passionate. As you can, I love this picture. So this is one of my favorite pictures of Barry. But yes, this is the art of performance poetry. Initially, when we were planning for Poets Anonymous, I wanted to teach on vocalization or articulation alone. But then it dawned on me that not a lot of people have been in my class. And I feel like what I'm about to run you guys through is my introduction to performance poetry. So I feel like I cannot teach you anything else without running through this. So probably in the next edition of Poets Anonymous or the other classes that we put together, we would deal with vocalization alone. All right. Yes, so what is, sorry. Okay, so I should just shout next. I like that. So again, my co-director. So the reason why, when I was putting the slides together the very first time, I got asked, why did you use this picture like that? And I'm not saying this just because he's my co-director. I'm saying this because if you're talking about the embodiment of performance poetry, I can't think of anybody else. In Abuja, I can't think of anybody else but Pariolodo. But this is not me coming to sing his praises. I think I do that without pay. So I said performance poetry is poetry written to be performed for an audience, whether on stage or through recording and broadcasting. That's, you have your TV or your radio drama and all that. I think we are familiar with radio dramas and stuff, right? So it is the spoken word poems the poems that you hear, the recorded poems that you hear. Now, people might ask, what is the difference between just going to the studio to just record, just talk? When you perform, when we go into vocalization, you see what I mean. When you perform, a blind man can know you're performing just by how you speak. But let me not go ahead of myself. It is an artistic expression that combines oratory and the dramatic imitation of life. The reason why I felt the need to add this page is because I discovered, quite sadly, that there are spoken word poets or performance poets that do not know what performance poetry is. So I'm not throwing shade, please. So there were page poets that they gave microphone to go and read poem. And so that is what they think is performance poetry, right? So to be a performance poet is to be a psychoanalyst. It is one of the things that we teach you as poets. As poets, yes, in Pyros Academy. To write from your writing. I know I'm not teaching writing, but from your writing, you have to be a psychoanalyst. You are writing for an intended audience. Even if you are writing to keep it in your diary, you are your intended audience. Why am I writing? What do I hope to achieve? What emotions am I hoping to evoke in the minds of my audience, even though I am the audience, right? So, psychoanalyst. Now, this is going to inform your every decision that you make when you climb the stage. How you say what you say. Why you say what you say. Sometimes, spoken word poets who have been performing for long periods of time, they would attest to this, that sometimes we'll write our poem in a certain way. We'll get on stage and edit the poem. And so it might be something very subtle, right? It might be just repeating one line or two lines, but it's because we have seen this audience and we are trying to connect to them. So it is something that some people, find very easy to do. So we do it subconsciously. They don't know that this is why they are doing it. But now that we are in this workshop, we're in this session, you know that you are being a psychoanalyst. I tell my students, sometimes when we write certain poems that are quite emotional, I tell them, have it in the back of your mind, Miss Tamara must cry. Miss Tamara must cry. Yes, I tell them, have it at the back of your head. I want to make Miss Tamara cry. And they don't know it yet. They think I'm actually very soft, but I'm quite the crybaby. But please let this not live here. I have a reputation to protect. Thank you. Right? So when you have this, let me tell you guys a quick story about this. So once upon a time, not too long ago, I think there was a period of my life where I was just doing wedding performances alone. So I got this client and she told me, oh, I would love you to do this piece of, write a piece for my wedding, as a surprise for my husband. But nothing is to move my husband, though. I say, he has not met me. She said, are you sure? He's very strong. I say, he has not met me. Don't worry. After she left, whenever you are negotiating with clients, you have to brag a little bit. So after she left, I was like, what if, as I'm performing, this guy starts yawning? Wow, what am I going to do? So I thought about it. My goal, he must cry. I didn't want him to smile. He must cry. Those tears that you men need to hide inside must come out. So I thought to myself, okay, what would move this guy? It's not just about throwing big words. We are so fixated on the aesthetics of writing that we forget that there is a human part of our performance. And so I was thinking, okay, if I just go in with punchlines, I don't even want him, in case he's a poet in another life, I don't even want him to do this. No, cry. That's the goal, cry. So I started asking certain questions. How did you guys meet? What is a special memory that you guys share? Those kind of questions. By my fourth line, when I was doing that performance, I saw the tears. I said, yes, we've gotten there. We've arrived. So I said, to be a performance poet, predicting and deliberately evoking the desired emotions in the audience through body language, vocalization, and improvisation. The mistake that you make as poets or the mistake that people make, not you, is that they feel the work ends when they are done writing. No, you just started. You just started. You have finished writing, cooking up the storm. Okay, you're about to get on stage and deliver that storm to people. She was saying something that when she wrote a poem and someone read it, the person was asking her, what are you talking about? And so when I start talking about body language, which will be, please. When I start talking about body language and all that, we'll delve into it. So first things that you need to know, emotion mapping. Emotion mapping. Remember, I've said that we are psychoanalysts. If that is too big for you to visualize, you're a magician. Now, your specialty, your type of magic is manipulation. I know that people often associate manipulation with negativity. Sorry, dear poets, you are a manipulator. Take it like that. So accept your role like that, right? So emotion mapping, and I have positive and negative emotions. We have pride, hope, empathy, happiness. For negative, we have fear, hate, regret, and all of that. Now, when you start, you might actually need to do a physical emotion map for your performance. So take, for example, I like to say this. Your audience is as much a part of your performance as the words coming out of your mouth. Do not ever disregard your audience. Don't discount them. They are very, very important in your planning for the performance. In fact, in your writing the poem, always think about your audience. Always think about your audience. Imagine that you do poetry in your local dialect. No, sorry, you're from Edo State, right? What dialect do you speak?
I'm supposed to speak Edo.
What do you now speak since you don't speak Edo?
Just English.
That makes both of us, don't worry. What do you speak there? You speak Yoruba very well. So imagine that your specialty is poetry in Yoruba, right? Then they now tell you that we are doing a coronation for a chief in Akwa Ibom. And this your poem should be about the wonderful things this chief has done. Write a poem. You now go there and go and start your Oriki in Akwa Ibom. And the people are looking at you like, we paid this game money, we paid that money, So this is me just digressing, talking about writing, but coming back to performance, you have written the poem for your audience. You know, you were commissioned by the federal government to, those kind of big money events. Yeah, wonderful, right? You have finished writing the poem. Now, bearing in mind that these are the kind of people that will be here, how do I perform this poem? What emotions are they supposed to feel? I say this, that if people would listen or watch your performance and they are just, it's a polite thing at events when people finish talking just without listening, just like those long, boring speeches. You are failed as a poet. You are failed as a poet. It is your mission in life to be the most unforgettable thing that happened in that event. Begin to think like that, because you can't spend all those hours, days brainstorming on all that you did, and then they don't even remember your name. They don't remember anything about your performance. And sometimes it's not like the words that you wrote were not strong enough or were not deep enough. It's that you did not communicate. And so the first step in communicating is your emotion map. What do I want my audience to feel? And so what do I do so that they feel what I feel? I can't go through. I hope that when the director was doing what he was doing, I hope we took our time to read this, so I don't have to read this, right? So next. So how to create an emotion map? I said the first thing, create a persona for the poem. When I'm teaching very young children, because they're just new to performance, and unfortunately, even older poets have that same issue. Because they're new to performance, they tend to be themselves on stage. No, don't be yourself. We don't want to see you. We don't want to see you. A lot of poets, they have their stage names. And so when they have their stage names, it's kind of easy to separate them. So there's Kingsley, there's Kish, it's kind of easy to separate them, right? Sorry, Kish, I had to use that example. But you will carry your timid self. That on a normal day, that you are the kind of person that when there is a conference, immediately after the conference, you are the first person to reach the gates because you are afraid to socialize anybody. You now carry that persona and climb the stage. Then they now say, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome this person, da 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 da. And you're like, so my poem is about this. So create a persona for the poem. What that does is there are things that on a normal day you cannot do, you cannot say, that your persona will say for you. All right? So if it means creating a persona for each poem, please do. If it means creating a persona for your for your art, for your craft, please do. I once did that. And so there was a time I used to go by Jaga Jaga Poets. Now, you see the thing with Jaga Jaga poets is that once she climbs that stage, the aggression that you see is out of this world. Oh my goodness. But then don't expect to meet that interaction one-on-one. You will not, it's not there. You will not get it. But that was a persona for the stage. The second thing is identify what each line or phrase means for the persona. So now that you have created this persona, right? And like I said, sometimes you might need a persona for each poem. Sometimes you might need a persona just for the stage generally. Let me explain. Again, I'm going to use Kish as an example. This is one of the perks of, being in my class and me knowing you. So Kish has a poem. In that poem, he speaks in the voice of a 12-year-old. 12-year-old. So imagine Kish now speaking in the voice of a 12-year-old with his baritone. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. That is why you need to create a persona for your poem. Because the people in the audience, they are not with your script. And even if they are with your script, understand that you will not always perform to poets alone. And so regular people, because we poets, we like to feel like we are on top of the world. Regular people will not catch certain things as quickly as poets will, right? So even if they have your lines, okay, what is he trying to say? You're already 4 lines ahead before they say, oh, okay, this is what he's trying to say. But when you're performing, right, and there is a persona, I'm still talking about the example with Kish's poem. There is a persona of the 12-year-old, and you're hearing him try to imitate the voice of his 12-year-old or the mannerisms of the 12-year-old. You are communicating. I think that piece was about war. It was about war. The piece was about peace. Okay, pun unintended. So identify what each line or phrase means for the persona and note the emotions. What was the emotion in that poem for that child?
So it was a mixture of sadness and anger.
So imagine that with his thick voice, trying to speak like a 12-year-old, he's now smiling. They are killing my parents. Doesn't make sense. Third thing, determine your goal. What should my audience feel at the end of my performance? You see the importance of an emotion map. This is a question that you should ask. What is the goal of this thing? Aside, yes, lots of us are now commercial poets, and aside the fact that we collected money to do this performance so that we will not die of starvation. Now that I'm on this stage now, what should my audience feel? How do I know that I have communicated effectively? If I should have a one-on-one conversation with them after the performance, what is the feedback that I expect to hear? And please, for the love of God, poets, nice, good, fire, it's not a feedback. It doesn't tell you anything. It just, boosts your ego, but that's about it. It doesn't give you any material to take back to work with your art. When you're asking, I'm digressing, when you're asking people for feedback, if they just tell you fire, please fire them back. They are not giving you any feedback. Next, please. Sorry, I have to run through this because we have very limited time. Okay, I love this part. Don't play it yet. I love this exercise. So this is an exercise on emotions. So you're going to watch this poem and I want you to identify the emotions expressed in the video. We're going to interact now. And I want you to tell me how those emotions were expressed. Hold on before you play. Yes, Kish?
So from the previous slide there on the personal, is it possible to have multiple personas?
Definitely. Definitely. Barry, please play my video. Okay, where do we start from? No, sir. I believe you're watching the video. So what emotion did you identify and how was that emotion expressed?
Okay, I identified, the first two could probably be interchanged, joy and excitement.
Okay.
Then I also identified disappointment.
How were those emotions identified?
Okay, I noticed they really smiled a lot. And there was literally a point where the woman in white and Ankara skirt like literally did her hands like this, so the kids smiling.
Okay.
Then for disappointment, okay, for excitement, like towards the ending of the poem, I noticed the guy on green.
That's a lady.
That's a female.
Yeah.
I noticed the person on green.
Wow, wow.
The person on green. I noticed that because when he mouthed some words, I could hear that when she mouthed some words, I could hear that she meant something about raise your hands in the air, like maybe trying to identify people who identify with something. So she had her face something like this, which was like people maybe didn't respond the way she wanted.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah.
For the first, I noticed about, so even though I can't replace the second one, like,
Okay.
for the first, it felt like joy, excitement, they were boisterous in their own, that was the energy they were giving me. They were really boisterous.
Okay.
The hands, the movement of the body, the smile, it felt childlike.
Okay.
They were trying to give us a persona of a child or something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But towards the end, it became a little solemn. Like there was like a shift. I really can't place that
Emotion.
at the moment, but
Okay.
I didn't feel positive. It felt like a shift.
Okay. Okay. One more person. Anybody else? Yes, Laura.
Okay, what I noticed, the both people, the both characters, were giving out two different emotions and similar moments.
Okay.
Lily and Antara at the beginning of the video, she was giving out this happy emotion, positive emotions, whereby she was expressing the ecstasy in her piece. Other one was giving a neutral kind of emotion. She was not smiling as much as the other one, she was just there. Then along the middle of the piece, as it was going down, it was now like a negative emotion. The one that kind of became like angered. On occasion, like she was just shouting, like maybe what she was saying was really like trying to like put her irritation in that piece. Other one too was the same emotion of anger too.
Okay. All right. Okay. Body language. So many videos I would have loved you guys to watch, but I don't have that time. So your body is as much a part of the poem as the words coming out from your mouth. See, if I end this workshop here, I'm okay. Your body is as much a part of the poem as the words coming out of your mouth. You cannot stand like a statue when you are performing, except your poem demands that you do so. Please take note. All right? Your personal emotions do not matter in the grand scheme of things. I think that was my last class with my students, my very young students. I told them something. I said, even if you are on stage and they shoot somebody, the show must continue. Yes, the show must go on. Have that at the back of your head. So now, how do you express body language? Facial expressions. Facial expressions. You see, your eyebrows, they are that important. That's why you should not shave them. Oh, don't mind me. Don't mind me. I'll just be cheeky. So, creasing forehead. If you watched the previous video, if you paid attention, when the emotions switched to negative, to irritation and anger, their foreheads were creased. Creasing forehead, lifted eyebrows, right? Sometimes somebody might just be saying rubbish beside you and you don't want to, this is like, I'm just saying regular life happenstance, right? Two people are having a conversation. I don't know if you've been in this situation where the conversation is so dumb, but they're not talking to you. So you can't just interject and say, yeah, you guys are not making sense. But they just say something so totally out of it that you just lift an eyebrow. I don't know. I know that not everybody can do this. I flex on people like that. Right? Can you do this? No, you can't. You just lift an eyebrow. That's a questioning look. It is a questioning look. So you see that your body language, and one thing I need you guys to know is that your body language speaks faster than the words coming out from your mouth. Let me rephrase that. Your body language communicates faster. In the nanosecond it takes you to move from your chair to the stage. Okay, no, it won't take a nanosecond, but like the few seconds it will take you, or the few seconds, a person meets you. You see that first impression? It's not when you open your mouth. The impression has been made already. Communication has happened from your body language, right? And that is why sometimes when you interact with people, even without them saying something, you can say, oh, this person is timid, this person is afraid, this person is arrogant, they've not said anything. They know something about the body language. And sometimes people don't have words for it. So they're like, yeah, aura, it's body language, all right? Gestures, what are you doing with your hands? Poets, I don't know. If poets could meet God and say, God, collect this hand, they will do it. Because, you see them, they're not... Please, you're also communicating that you are uncomfortable, unsure of what you are saying. So you have your poem memorized to a T. But just because you are using or making unnecessary gestures, it is communicating to your audience that you're not worth listening to. So you'll be surprised. I gave my all. Did you though? Well, your body language said otherwise. Courage. Proper body posture. Now, this video, what this video is basically talking about, it's take us some time to play, is there is something called a zone of influence when you're speaking. Please do not perform like your armpits is smelling and you don't want the smell to escape you. Stop performing like this. Stop performing like this. Stop. Your zone of influence, think about a square. So from your shoulder to your abdomen. Except your poem requires it, do not perform below your abdomen. Don't do this. Please, don't perform here. Perform here. What it tells your audience is that you are open. You are an open book. It is an invitation. Come into my space. Come into this poem, right? It is very subtle, but trust me, even though they don't know exactly what is happening, their brains have picked it up, all right? So I said posture such as chin up for proper airflow. Sometimes you're talking, some people perform here and they cannot breathe and we cannot hear them. Feet apart and pointed. Please, for balance sake, don't stand like this. Don't stand like you want to beg for rice, please. Feet apart, shoulder width apart, pointed outward for better balance, arms spread out and above the elbow to communicate openness and confidence. The next thing was eye contact. Shy people will want to just hide behind the mic stand. You see somebody that is big like me or big like Director E.T., they want to, can't work. It cannot work. There's a way they just do their body and then they don't want to look at anybody. The eye is the window to the soul of your poem. I know it ends with the eye is the window to the soul. The eye is the window to the soul of your poem. Eye contact. If you are too shy, you cannot maintain eye contact, please look at shiny foreheads or in between your eyebrows. It helps. By the time you notice how funny people's eyebrows are, you will be comfortable on that stage. Look at their eyebrows. Next, please. Okay, please. I found this video because of somebody in this place. Play it before I explain anything. Play it, please.
Hear that? That's nothing. Which is what I, as a speaker at today's conference, have for you all. I have nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. Zippo. Nothing smart. Nothing inspirational. Nothing even remotely researched at all. I have absolutely nothing to say whatsoever. And yet, through my manner of speaking, I will make it seem like I do. Like what I am saying is brilliant. And maybe, just maybe, you will feel like you've learned something. Now,
That's the end of my video. Yeah, it is. You should watch the entire thing. It is 5 minutes of brilliant. It gets to a point, he's like, gabba, gabba, yada, yada. Exactly what he was saying. So the point of this TED Talk, throughout the TED Talk, he did not say anything meaningful. Not one thing. The point is how you say what you say. So if I end on this note, well, if you catch me again, another class of mine, I will continue. It's gonna be fine. But vocalization and tonality. So it's not just about what you say, but how you say what you say, right? In this world, I don't know if we know any poet that should not be a poet. Should I say it like that? Should I? Trying to be polite, trying to be nice. No, it's not deep. Poets are just whack. Please, let's just put it like that. Poets are whack. But they have very good audience because when they take up that mic, my goodness, it's like, if you don't listen to me, your life will end. You will die. You cannot go through life without hearing the words that flow out of me. It's just basically how they say what they say, right? Remember, we said in the beginning that you are a psychoanalyst, that you are a magician, and that your area of expertise is manipulation. And so you always want to present yourself, how you carry yourself, how you speak, as I have the key to life, the secret to life. You have to pay attention to every word that is about to fall out of my mouth because I am God. So vocalization and tonality. Your tonality projects the persona and intent of your poem. You notice that a part of the video, he did something with his voice. There was a tonal shift change. Yes. Some people go on stage and it's just one tone. From the beginning of the performance to the end. No emotional reflection, nothing. The pitch doesn't rise or fall. Just one very monotonous. Even AI these days, they are trying to add emotion. And you, human being, you are AI, find yourself, So it aids in interpretation, which is why we sometimes can tell when a person is sarcastic. So imagine you're on the phone with somebody and then you ask a question and they respond. Nigerians, we should be given the crown for sarcasm. It's how they say it, because you're not standing in front of them to see the facial expression that they are looking at you like, oh, you're stupid and you're going to get a stupid response. No, it is how they say it, right? So you see how important it is. There are people who they've mastered the stage in quote, but if you put them in a studio, in a booth to do an audio project, they sound very boring because they rely so much on their gestures. See, as a performance poet, you have to be all-round, an all-rounder. So the blind man will enjoy your performance as much as the seeing man. So pitch, how you can do that is pitch, how high or low your voice is. Remember that we started with emotion mapping. So with your emotion map, you know that this is the emotion I'm trying to create, right? Or evoke, right? How high or how low your voice is can actually affect the meaning of what you're saying. It could give two different meanings, right? How loud your voice is. Please do not mix up pitch and volume. They're two different things, right? How loud your voice is. How quickly or slowly you're speaking. Dear spoken word poet, your performance does not become more interesting because you are rapping, because you are talking fast. No, that's not the ginger. No. You want to be as clear as possible and you want to emote properly. Finally, timbre, the emotion/attitude in your voice. I gave an example, quivering vocals to depict tears. There are some of us that we are emotional normally, but when it matters most on the stage where we are supposed to have money from crying, the tears will not come out, no matter what happens. But you see, with the voice, you might not see the tears in my eyes, but the voice, the thunder comes before the rain. Abi? Yeah, something like that. It's just take it like it's deep. Just take it like that. It's deep, it's deep, it's deep. So yeah, that is the same thing, right? What you do with your voice, please treat your voice like a prop. When you have a prop, when you take, for example, that this water is my prop on this stage, and I'm supposed to maybe sprinkle the water, or I don't know, the water is supposed to be symbolic for whatever, right? When I brought the prop to stage, I had the intention of using this prop for this poem. Use your voice like that. Your voice is a prop. I know that we have been talking all our lives, so you take your voice for granted. Your voice as a performance poet is a prop. And I think I'm going to end my class here. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I think I have like 1 minute to take your questions.
You said using the voice as the main prop.
Mm-hmm.
So can there be a change of the way you use your voice?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the first 6 lines of your poem, and you're sounding full of light, full of sound, but the next 7 lines after that 6, then you're not sounding down.
Okay. I will tell you something for free. You see, as a spoken word poet, your voice is as important as whatever. Don't mind me. I was just trying to do it. But yeah, you can do that. You heard that in the video, right? You heard that in the video. He did that in the video. Yes. Like I said, it's a prop. So whatever it is, the point is, what am I trying to achieve with this? So your voice can play into it. Make your script. You know how in productions or in theaters, you have your light script, you have sound script. Make your voice script. All right? Lawrence, you had your hand up.
Yes, ma'am. When you spoke about gesticulation, ma'am,
Yes.
it got me thinking, does it mean that we shouldn't use gestures more or less? Or is it bad to use gestures like prominent? Because I noticed that even without even performing, I use gestures a lot. Because say something about anytime we use gesture, we might be taking as if we're not sure what we're saying.
Yeah. Is that what I said? No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
Well, let me clarify that. It is using gestures wrongly. So take, for example, you're performing a poem, and throughout the poem, because I see this a lot, it's quite common. Throughout the poem, you're just doing this. And so in the highs and the lows, in the hills and the valleys, when the battle fell, and this is all you are doing. What is this? What is this? Or throughout your performance, you are just like this. What is this? Or like this. Those are gestures, aren't they?
Yes.
But they are not aiding your poem. I said your body language is as much a part of the poem as the words coming out of your mouth. And so they have to aid, or else they will be very distracting from what you're trying to say. So if your body is doing something else and the words coming out of your mouth is doing something else, there's no correlation. So subconsciously, right, you have put a divide in the minds of your audience. What should I be following? The words out of your mouth or what I'm saying with my eyes? Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Your second question?
Okay, speaking about vocalization, tonality, body language, psychoanalysis, in rank of importance, which do you suggest which way should work on?
All of them.
At once?
Yes. Next question.
Okay, my last one. Do you think we should change our accents or embrace it or make it better? Because that's an event I went to and they were presenting. Yes, something speak in a husky way. That timbre is very, it's kind of a bit intimidating in a way, sure. You know, makes me think, should I work on my accent or?
There's a poet that I love so much. Should I call his name? Should I call his name? I'm asking my co-director so that they drag me because he's usually my cushion for all these things. Should I call his name? I love him. I should not call his name. Okay. But you will know him. He's a Nigerian poet. He has an Igbo accent. But he's worth listening to. See, if he climbs any stage, oh my goodness. If you like me from England, you must pay attention to him. The question is, are you clear enough? Like, are you being heard clearly? Are you being heard clearly? There's a new kid in my class. The first day he came into my class, apparently he was out of the country and then his parents relocated to Nigeria, whatever the story is. And he was asking me what the time was. But I promise you, I did not hear what that boy was saying. Now, it's not the first foreign kid that I have dealt with, but the kid wasn't opening his mouth to talk. So you now tell me that that one is a superior accent to the way I'm talking, like me, that you can all hear me clearly. Like, what do you mean by that? Please use your accent the way you use it, but pronounce words properly. Okay? Pronounce words properly. I know that we have some poets have that limitation, you know, the language thing. You have your H factor and the Z, P, F thing. As much as possible, try to work on that. But the goal is to be heard and heard clearly. All right? Any other questions? Yes, it's you.
So are there any poems that maybe like maintain a particular tone and pitch? Like for example, the poem is sad all through and you just have to be sad all through.
So I really wish I could run through this, because that question I explained is another slide. Emotions have range. Emotions have range. See, there are levels, and there's a word for it now. Can't remember. When I'll talk about it, right? But in a spectrum of sadness, there are degrees to it, and there are ways to express it. Every emotion has range. Just think about it that way. I wish I could like really delve into it right now, but every emotion has range. Any question? Because my Kodak girl is looking at me like, get out of that place now. Anybody? Any question? Any question? Yeah?
I do not, apart from trying to put somebody out there, so I do not like posting my performance on stage online.
Because
of what I don't even know. Like,
sounds more like a spiritual thing.
to be honest, like I wanted to really ask about that. Like, how do you people put these things online?
It's not just about the boldness. First of all, you have to identify what your hesitation is. You need to identify what is keeping you from. Prior to this time, I did not like the way my voice sounded. Okay. Even till date, I do not listen to my voice notes. You know, some people, they will send voice, I'm like, let me hear what I sound. I don't, because I don't like how I sound. So it could be that, it could be something else. So first of all, you need to figure it out, right?